Yes, I do support extending the sales tax that was passed under Measure Q and bumping it up to the 1.25%. There are a few reasons for this, but primarily as the county seat and a center of commerce, we have so many people who pass through Eureka to work or to do business who don't live here. And this is a way for them to contribute to the Eureka community and to help maintain that infrastructure that they are using every day. I think we really need this money for our infrastructure. This represents $9.6 million a year that can be used to fund street repair and road safety and to promote local businesses and support jobs. If this passes, although it does represent a higher tax, I think that it will actually help our local businesses by creating an environment that is more pleasant to come to shop in, and also by supporting the development of new businesses that can fill some of our vacant storefronts. Finally, this money would also be put towards debt reduction, and I do think that fiscal responsibility is very important, whether you're running a business or managing a city. If this doesn't pass, we're going to have to make some pretty significant cuts. Unfortunately, law enforcement does represent the biggest portion of our budget, and I don't see a way around cutting into that. And I'm not talking about real allocation of funds in this case, I'm talking about straight cuts. Other areas we might need to cut would be things like outside attorneys, consultants, and other services. I'd like to see us avoid that. So I think when we're talking about houselessness, we need to consider the whole person within their social context. So we need to look at what factors drove them to homelessness and what factors are keeping them there. I agree that having houseless people on the streets and in our public space isn't the best for business and tourism. I think that in Eureka, we sometimes have a bad reputation in this regard, and I'd like to see us change that and tell a different story about Eureka, about our business community, about what's possible here. In order to do that, we're going to need things like transitional housing with low barriers to entry that are going to get people off the streets. I've been encouraged recently to see some proposals to convert existing structures like the Pine Motel and the Eureka Inn into transitional housing places for homeless individuals to go. We're also going to need substance treatment and mental health care. These are huge factors that drive people to homelessness and keep them there. Finally, with regards to the needle exchange, I do support harm reduction. I believe that it's the compassionate approach. I think that having people suffering from blood-borne pathogens, possibly in a state of very poor health or even dying in the streets, is terrible for business. And it's terrible for the mental health of everyone else who has to see that. So yes, we need compassionate solutions. Perhaps that means that the needle exchange needs to be located somewhere else where it isn't in such close proximity to residential areas and our commercial main street. But I think that solutions for that can be identified. I think that our housing shortage is primarily a shortage of affordable housing, housing that's going to be accessible to young people, to seniors on a fixed income, to somebody who is working a minimum wage job. So when we're building housing, we need to focus on affordable housing. To do this, we need to leverage all possible funding sources, including grant funding, state funding, possibly even some kind of funding similar to the CARES Act if there's more federal funding that becomes available. I think that when people are not working every hour that they're awake to afford rent, they actually have money to go out and spend at local businesses. And so I would like to see the people who live here in Eureka have more expendable funding to go out and support all of our wonderful local businesses. In developing housing, we should prioritize infill development in empty lots, possibly empty parking lots, really the remaining developable areas that we have that are not environmentally sensitive. We can also look into converting existing structures to housing, structures that are vacant or not being fully used. Perhaps there is an opportunity to develop some housing units there. Our recent changes to our zoning code made good strides to encourage the development of accessory dwelling units and detached bedrooms. Things like this would increase density and offer a relatively affordable housing option for folks. And then finally, I think we should look into cooperative housing models. Cooperation Humboldt is a local organization that is doing this right now and considering development of an eco-village. I think that's an opportunity for us here.